So, good evening, everyone. I thank you all, for those of you who stayed until the bitter end of the second day, I really thank you, really appreciate it. Working on this conference was a challenge, I must say. It was a very enjoyable challenge. We learned a lot. I don't want to jinx it or something because we have a full day in Jerusalem tomorrow, but personally I feel that we did manage to fulfill, your expectations, I hope. At the end of the second day, I can say, it went by so quickly, and yet it seems that as a very long 2 days. But I really hope you enjoyed both the academic content and the organizing and the food and the weather. And I hope to see you all in Israel in other future conferences or just on vacations. You have our mails and our details. Feel free to contact us if you're just coming to visit at any chance. Few quick announcements before I invite our dean to say a few words. First of all, on 6:45, after this assembly, a bus will wait for you where the buses waited yesterday to take you to Center Tel Aviv. It will drop you at the corner of Rothschild Street and Herzl Street. It's a walking distance both to the southern part of Tel Aviv and to Jaffa and to the upper center of Tel Aviv, so we picked this spot. You will have to come back to the dorms by your own. I mean, the bus won't wait for you later. Another bus will wait for you tomorrow at 8:15 exactly in the morning to take you to Jerusalem. I will wait for you near the buses, near the parking of the buses. Yarden will wait for you near the entrance to the dorms, to the Proshim dorms. So you can pick any meeting point and come. Please be there on time because we need to go out to Jerusalem as soon as possible. If you ask for a ride to the airport straight from Jerusalem, don't forget to bring your bags with you, obviously. We will keep them in the buses. They will be secure for the entire day. You won't have to worry, and then we'll drop you in the airport. Bring your own food with you. I think we're out of budget, and you'll have some time during lunch to buy you a light meal, falafel or something in the old city, which is very nice. Don't forget your hats, your sunscreen. We will give you small bottles of water, but bring some more water with you. And again, with any question, request, or anything, don't hesitate to contact us. Yarden sent you our phone numbers. If you have any problem, if you're stuck or late or something, just give us a call. Okay, don't worry. So that's about it. And I'm really excited to invite our dean, Professor Ron Haris, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Yael. I'm really excited to see such a wonderful attendance in this conference here today. I would like to begin by apologizing for not being around yesterday in the opening session of this conference. I've been to Asia, something I'll refer to also later on. I just returned this morning. I was hoping to attend one of the morning sessions, but unfortunately my flight was delayed, and in the afternoon I had some teaching commitments. So I did see some of you during lunch and during the coffee now, and I noticed the vibe, the energies, the interesting discussions that were going on. So I'm really excited that we had the opportunity to host you here. I'm particularly excited by the fact that we hosted such a wonderful legal history conference because I myself am a legal historian. I pride myself in some audiences with the fact that I hold 3 degrees in history and only 1 degree in law. So when I was in the job market, I didn't overemphasize this fact, but now I can. So I have a degree in law from here, and I have degrees in history, both from Tel Aviv University and Columbia University, and much of my research is indeed in legal history. So it was unfortunate for me to miss the interesting section and the interesting sessions that went on here yesterday and today. And generally speaking, beyond my own self-interest in hosting such a legal history conference here, I think that it is a real joy for the law school as a whole to host you here, because one of our main prides is our very strong legal history group here in the law school. You had the opportunity to meet, I believe, 3 of our legal historians as keynote speakers during the conference. You met David Shaw, another prominent legal historian, and those 4 are just about half of our legal history group. So we're really a strong, interesting, vibrant legal history group here, and we would like to encourage you to keep in touch with us. In fact, one of our colleagues, I believe, at Yale Law School, thought that our legal history group is stronger than that of Yale Law School. I wouldn't buy this. I think that it's over a kind of compliment for us, but I believe that we are one of the more interesting and innovative legal historians group globally. So it's a great opportunity for us to host you. I was impressed by the wide coverage of topics during the conference. I was particularly impressed, without kind of downplaying the roles of others, with the impressive show of legal historians from Eastern Europe. In a way, for us, traditionally, the connections, I think, were at some point with Germany, for historical reasons. Many of the lawyers that arrived in mandatory Palestine before and during World War II were educated in Germany. Some were born in Germany. We had strong connections with Britain. We have strong connection, maybe too strong connections with American academia these days. But in a way, one of the major roots of our own legal history, or our own legal conceptions, legal culture, legal imagination, come from Eastern Europe. And we should, I think, cultivate the relationships with those of you who came from Eastern Europe and try to better understand our historical sources through this. I also believe, and one of the things I did while traveling in Asia, in India recently, where I met one of you, and in China before, I believe that we should position ourselves, Tel Aviv University should position itself as a sort of a bridge between Europe, maybe also North America and Asia, and I'm really delighted to see a few Asians in the conference. I think that it is a good direction of development for legal history globally and for the Young European Legal Historians Association in particular, to strengthen ties with young legal historians in Asia. There are wonderful legal historians in India. There is an emerging field of legal history in China, and much more is going on in some other parts of Asia. And there are many commonalities. There are many kind of historical connections between Europe and Asia going back to the 18th century and even before, if we go to the East India Company, which is one of my topics of research. Definitely by the 19th century with the British Empire, with the informal influences of Europe in China and in some other informal colonies of the European powers. So I think the connections are really there, and we should explore them together by strengthening the relationships between the European legal historians and the Asian legal historians. And I would like, just before concluding, to encourage you to keep in touch with us. We have much to offer, I think, to legal historians in all levels. You are now beyond some of the levels I will mention, but you can take the message to your students and to your fellow scholars. So we are developing a wide net of student exchange programs on the undergraduate, LLB level. We have such good relationships with a variety of American institutions, a variety of Asian institutions, not as many student exchange programs with European institutions, so I will be delighted to get some suggestions from you or from your institutions for creating such student exchange collections on the undergraduate level, meaning having one-term visits going both ways. And you can get a sense of our partners and our program on the website of Tel Aviv University and the English website of Tel Aviv University. Then we have on the LLM level a relatively new international LLM program taught entirely in English. You're past this stage, but I'm sure that some of your students and colleagues are not yet past this stage. So do have a look at our international LLM program. It offers at the moment 3 concentrations. One of them is in law and technology, one of them is in law, state, and religion, and one is in global governance and human rights. You can understand why each of them has some relevance for us at Tel Aviv University, and we believe that we have much to offer in all these 3 fields, both in terms of our faculty members and in terms of the kind of experience that one accumulates in Israel, a country that is involved in conflicts, a country that has a minority and issues of minority rights, issues of state and religion with Jewish presence in the state and the role of Jewish law. And obviously law and technology as a startup nation, we have a lot of experience both academically and practically in this field. So do recommend, as much as you're convinced in the fact that we have something to offer, do recommend to your friends and colleagues to consider our international LLM. And for the levels which are more relevant for you, we are accepting doctoral students, inviting doctoral students to come for short visits, starting with just a couple of weeks. If you would like to do some research in Israel, archival research, library research, interviews, if you'd like to consult our faculty, you are invited to visit with us for just a few weeks, for a full term, if you want, and then you'll be able to take some courses. We have about 50 courses in English. If you'll come for a term, you have a nice choice of courses. And we also will accept in the future international students into our PhD program. We are also open up for considering joint supervision of students, that is, faculty member from your home institution and faculty member from our institution, supervising together a PhD student. We are willing to serve in examination committees for doctoral students, so do suggest these either to yourselves, to your colleagues, and or to your institutions. And past the doctoral stage, we have a visiting scholars program. We have a postdoctoral program, which again can go on from just a short visit of a couple of weeks to a longer visit. And finally, when you mature a bit in your career, once you have a secure in your positions, once you've made some progress in terms of your teaching experience and your research, we'll be delighted to see you as visiting professors with us. So, and we have a kind of a living example for someone who is currently visiting us as a visiting professor, Professor Albert Cordes, who sits here. Professor Cordes is, in a way, an historical exemplar, in the sense that he mentioned to me earlier this morning that he attended the first Young European Legal Historians Conference back in the early 1990s. So he was there when it all began with Michael Stolhes as the director of the Max Planck Institute for Legal History, as the initiator of the idea. He was a doctoral student at the time. And so you will all be able to visit with us within 20 years, maybe less than this, as visiting professors, and have the opportunity to interact with our faculty members. So do keep us in mind when going back home. I would like to conclude with just very brief thank you words. Most of the thank you will be done by David Shaw in a more ordinary way. But I would like to thank those who are here on this stage. Omer Aloni, who was courageous enough to come forward in Cambridge, I believe it was, and suggesting to host this conference here. He came back to Tel Aviv. We were quite skeptic.
Quite.
Yeah. But, and the rest is history, obviously. He was able to convince us. He was able to convince the attendance in the meeting in Cambridge. He was able to convince us, and he was able to convince all of you to take part in this conference. So Omer really deserves